Peace. I was trying to think about what to call this little video clip, so let's just keep it simple and call it what it is. This is an attempt to prove the guilt of George Zimmerman in the shooting, death, and murder of Trayvon Martin. There's been a lot of stories coming out, and I believe a lot of these stories from the new witnesses, from the pictures of Zimmerman being taken to the police station, from how the police conducted their investigation and all types of stuff like that. When and if this case gets to a court of law, I would strongly doubt that they could find this guy innocent and that he wouldn't get at least some jail time. I'm hoping that he would get the max. Now, the big dilemma or debate, which I don't believe is a necessary debate across the country, is whether or not this is a racially motivated killing. In my opinion, yes. You don't have to be a racist to be to racially profile, and if you kill somebody under that assumption of a racial profile, then I believe that's a racial killing and a hate crime. So this video is basically my attempt to prove that by way of the 911 call, which is the only true piece of physical evidence that we have in this case, due to the lack of a real investigation by the police department in Sanford, Florida. So what you'll see is, first we're going to go over the full 911 call. We're going to listen to it in its entirety. Please pay close attention to what is said, how it's said. Then we're going to go and break up the 911 call in bits and pieces and break it up by my point of view. And so this is my 2 cents. I hope it makes some sense to you.
Sanford Police Department. Line is being recorded. Sean.
Hey, we've had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy.
So if you heard, he said basically that there's been some break-ins in the neighborhood, and he sees a real suspicious guy, or suspicious guy. So let's continue.
It's Retreat View Circle. The best address I can give you is 111 Retreat View Circle. This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, well, after the description, or trying to give a description of where he sees this suspicious individual, to give the police some geographical understanding of where he is, Mr. Zimmerman says this guy looks as if he's up to no good. He's on drugs or something. It's raining and he's just walking around looking about. So that right there implies the suspicious activity, walking around looking about. I don't understand how that could be considered suspicious activity, because basically that's what Mr. Zimmerman is doing. He's in the rain, and he may not be walking around, but he's riding around and looking about. And at some point in time, he got out the car, so at that time he was walking around looking about. But apparently, walking around looking about is suspicious behavior. Continue.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
So as I'm sure it is probably part of the procedure for the 911 operator to get a good understanding of the description of the person that is conducting the suspicious activity, they ask, is the person white, black, or Hispanic? Continue.
He looks black.
All right, so Mr. Zimmerman says he looks black, and the way he stated that, I'm gonna assume that he wasn't 100% sure, but you know, something made him believe that this was a black person. Continue.
Did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, a dark hoodie, like a gray hoodie, and either jeans or sweatpants and white tennis shoes.
Alright, so now he gives a good detailed description of what the suspicious individual who we believe may be black is wearing, which is a dark gray hoodie, jeans or sweatpants possibly, and white tennis shoes. This is important because this will actually speak to why he assumed that the person was black. It had to be because of the clothes, because he can obviously tell and gave a real good detailed description of the clothing, but wasn't sure if the individual was black or not, but he made that assumption that they was. And for all intents and purposes, since we are visual creatures, he had to make that assumption based upon the person's clothing and all the other descriptive things that he had of him, which was basically just the clothing. Continue.
He's here now. He was just staring.
Oh, he's just walking around the area?
At all the houses.
Okay.
And now he's just staring at me.
So now Mr. Zimmerman gives an update on the suspicious individual who he believes is black, who he described with a dark gray hoodie, jeans and or sweatpants, white tennis shoes, suspiciously walking around looking about, which Mr. Zimmerman deemed to be suspicious activity. So now Mr. Zimmerman updates the operator by telling them that the person is now hanging around, staring at houses, and then now he notices that the individual is actually staring at him. Given what we know about the case, and knowing that Trayvon was at his father's, where his father lived, and I believe his father was with, because he lived in Miami, but he was up at his father's house in Florida. Maybe in the darkness, he, staring around, looking at houses, trying to figure out where to go. And then he realized that somebody is watching him. And this is all my opinion, but what we do know is that at some point in time, at this time in this call, that Mr. Zimmerman notices that Trayvon, or this person that he sees right now, is looking at him. Continue.
Okay, and so it's 1111 retrieve you, or 111?
That's the clubhouse.
That's the clubhouse. Do you know what he's near the clubhouse right now?
Yeah, now he's coming towards me.
Okay.
So now Mr. Zimmerman is telling the operator another update. Basically now the suspicious individual that we went over, with the dark gray hoodie and jeans and all sweatpants, white tennis shoes, possibly a black person, who was walking around looking about, now staring at houses, now looking at Mr. Zimmerman, now is walking toward Mr. Zimmerman. And this information will be pertinent soon. So continue.
He's got his hand in his waistband. And he's a black male.
Now Mr. Zimmerman says he has his hand in his waistband right after he stated that the individual was walking toward him. So now he has a person that he believes is suspicious because they were walking around looking about, and that they were staring at houses and staring at him. He believes that it's a black male initially. He knows what the person is wearing: dark gray hoodie, jeans and or sweatpants, white tennis shoes. But now he even admits he knows it's a black male. So he knows that it's a black male now. And now this black male is coming toward him with their hand in the waistband. So that's important to me because of Zimmerman's claims later that he feared for his life. This right here seems like a prime opportunity to fear for your life if you believe that this is some suspicious individual and that they will be coming at you and you don't know who they are, and they got their hand in their waistband, especially for an individual who is in law enforcement, with his activities as a neighborhood watchman, and the fact that he carries a gun would lead me to believe that he has some knowledge of being a police officer, or what a police officer does, and this is a normal reaction for police. At some point in time, if somebody come up toward them with their hand in their waistband, then they immediately identify themselves as a police officer, and not that Zimmerman is a police officer, but he at this time had an opportunity to identify himself in general, to say, who are you? I live around here. Do you need any help? I'm with the neighborhood watch, whatever. But there's a universal way to make yourself known without being a vigilante about it, or to be like a ruler, like you control the neighborhood like you did. But what we do know for a fact is that now Zimmerman sees this person coming towards him with their hand in the waistband, and he does identify them as a black male. Continue.
How old would you say he
He's got a button on his shirt. Late teens.
Late teens.
So then the operator asks Zimmerman, can you tell how old he is, or the person is? And then Zimmerman made a statement about him putting on a shirt, and I'm assuming that this is probably the time when he put on his hoodie. But whatever the case may be, Zimmerman then states that he looked like he's in his late teens. So he does identify the person as a black male in their late teens with a dark gray hoodie, possibly jeans, possibly sweatpants, white tennis shoes, who was earlier walking around looking about, now kind of walking around staring at houses, and he notices Mrs. Zimmerman looking and staring at him. And that's it for that part. Let's continue.
Something's wrong with him. Yeah. He's coming to check me out.
Alright, now right here, Mrs. Zimmerman says again, implying that this person is, I guess, doing or acting suspiciously, because he says something wrong with him. And then he says, yep, he's coming to check me out. But at this time, this is why this is important, because at this time, Zimmerman doesn't sound afraid, scared. Earlier, the person came toward him with their hand in their waistband. He still doesn't seem afraid. He seems solid, and he seems really adamant on, making sure that this person is caught. Obviously that's why he's on the 911 call, but all that speculation. What we do know for a fact is that he feels that something is wrong with him. What we might want to know from Zimmerman is what actions now is this individual doing that makes him once again imply that something is wrong with this person, and that the person was coming to check him out. So then that still implies that Trayvon is coming toward him at some point in time. Continue.
He's got something in his hands. I don't know what his deal is.
So now Mrs. Zimmerman says he got something in his hand. I don't know what his deal is. And since we already know a lot about the case, we would assume at this point in time something in his hands would probably be the Skittles and the Arizona iced tea. But once again, this speaks to Zimmerman's state of mind and his fear, or his a claim of self-defense, and that he feared for his life, because at this point in time he still has an opportunity right here and right now to fear for his life. But it also gives him a time, since the person is coming at him, to either run away, or to at least let the person know who he is and why he is there, and why I'm following and looking at you. It boggles my mind that he never thought that this person was just as nervous and leery of him, following him around in the rain, in the dark, walking or riding around looking about. But anyway, what we do know for a fact is that Zimmerman says he's got something in his hand. Don't know what it is, what his deal is. So once again, that's an implication that the person is doing something strange or having some type of strange activity, and Zimmerman will have to answer to that in court. But let's continue.